Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Today I went to go and see My Little Pony the movie. This is a feature-length adaptation of the TV show My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which was inspired by the Hasbro toy line. The film opens up in Equestria, where Princess Twilight Sparkle is trying to organise a very ambitious festival, which is being headlined by a famous singing pony. Luckily, she's getting some help from her friends Spike the Dragon, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash. But, all of a sudden, an ominous airship lands in Equestria. Emerging from this airship is a unicorn with a broken horn. She calls herself Tempest and asks the people of Equestria to surrender themselves. When all the princesses of Equestria deny this, Tempest says that she's going to make it difficult, and she orders a huge army of guards to take over Equestria. Tempest says that she's working for a villain called the Storm King, who wants to use the Equestrian princess's magic powers to make him more powerful. 3 of the princesses are turned to stone. It's up to Twilight Sparkle and her friends to go on an adventure to find the hippogriffs so that they can help them to take down the Ice King. Along the way, they come across different obstacles and meet various kinds of characters. So, first of all, I am a brony. I am a fan of the TV show My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but I've only seen the first 2 seasons. I do really like it though, it makes me very happy. I find it funny, cute, sweet, and engaging. However, this does not mean that I'm going to be soft with this movie just because I'm attached to the source material. I'm a film critic before I'm a My Little Pony fan. I'm going to be taking this seriously, and I'm not going to brush anything aside or ignore any kind of flaws. Because here's the thing, this is a very flawed movie. I'm afraid that this film is very generic and unoriginal. There's nothing here to make it stand out. It's your typical fantasy adventure quest with the heroes going off, trying to find something to stop an evil villain who's exploiting the good side to gain powerful magic. It's very simple, which is okay, I guess. There is a charm to simplicity, but if you're going to make that big ambitious transition from TV show to movie, then you're going to need to do more than the overdone hero's journey story to stand out from the wide library of choices out there in the animation industry. This movie feels very uncomfortable about going into the medium of film, to the point where you can definitely tell that it's relying on formulas from 90s Disney films to tell its story. I mean, the film even opens up with Twilight Sparkle singing a lyric that goes along the lines of, "I'm a princess, but there's more to me than that." You can really tell that the film is clinging on to something that's been done before by Disney a million times. I don't feel as if that the film is trying to be its own thing, and it comes across as nervous about trying to be original or fresh. Now, I was looking forward to this movie, because one of the cast members said, "Oh, we're not going to make this a long episode of My Little Pony, we want to make it feel like a movie." But unfortunately, it puts fan service before good filmmaking. If you've not seen the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic TV show, you are going to feel alienated. This film isn't for you. And that's a bad thing, because now this movie is only going to appeal to a very niche crowd, and that stops it from being accessible and timeless. It becomes a gimmicky novelty, and you start to see the clear signs that this is a toy commercial. And one of the biggest credits I could give to the TV show was that it didn't feel like that. So why do I feel as if that this film is not very welcoming to people outside the fanbase? Well, here's a major issue with the movie. It's really rushed. It goes so fast. As soon as the movie begins, the major conflict starts. It just jump straight in there. World building is skipped over, character development is skipped over. You have to be a big fan of the show to connect to the film. And here's the thing as well, like I said, I've only seen the first 2 seasons of the show, so a part of me did feel a little alienated. I did feel as if that something was missing. Again, it puts fan service before good filmmaking. I know I make this analogy a lot, but I have to keep introducing it to people. This is like selling a book with missing pages and only letting a select few people read those missing pages. Now, I was looking forward to this movie, because one of the cast members said, oh, we're not going to make this a long episode of My Little Pony, we want to make it feel like a movie. But unfortunately, it puts fan service before good filmmaking. I will agree with critics. This movie definitely feels like 4 episodes of the TV show stitched together. This is what I feared. It really is. But it's not the only problem I have with the film. Now, like I said, this film centers mainly on Twilight Sparkle. This is kind of her story, which I'd be fine with if she was the only lead. But the movie also wants to include all her friends, who were a big part of the TV show. It is called Friendship is Magic, but because this movie is so focused on being about Twilight Sparkle, I feel as if that her friends are sidelined in this film. Even worse, they become obstacles or conflicts for Twilight. You don't feel as if that this is a team, you feel like Twilight Sparkle is babysitting. Twilight Sparkle's friends, who I usually love, are dumbed down to obnoxious levels and do some really stupid things. Really dumb. Twilight Sparkle comes across as the only level-headed, rational and sensible character, the only character engaged in the problem at hand, while her friends don't seem to be taking things very seriously. They're casual, light-hearted, silly. I get that the filmmakers wanted to inject a sense of humour and fun into this movie when things are getting very dark, but that should not come at the cost of the characters' likability and intelligence. What's happening in Equestria is serious, yet Twilight's friends do not have a sense of urgency. It makes them come across like they don't care. Sure, I'm fine with Twilight Sparkle's friends cracking jokes now and again to liven things up and stop the film from being too serious and brooding. But when these ponies are starting to forget how apocalyptic this situation is and that they have mature responsibilities right now, that is when I get annoyed. While Twilight Sparkle is taking this seriously, the other ponies are acting like this is another slice of life episode. That takes away a lot of cinematic value from the film. Then later on, Twilight actually has to lie to her friends in order to achieve something, and her friends get really annoyed and say, "Why didn't you trust us?" And in the context of the movie story, I kind of side with Twilight. Yes, what she did was kind of out of line and harsh, but these ponies really haven't proved to us that they're qualified to be trusted. They've done some really dangerous or stupid things. Okay, so we do meet some other characters along the way, like some pirates and a very dashing but sleazy anthropomorphic cat. And while these are very charming, fun characters, you really do feel as if that they are commercials for potential toys for Hasbro to sell. That really comes out. And the cat character definitely comes across like it's trying to imitate DreamWorks Puss in Boots. You can really feel it there. But I do believe that Tempest is one of the saving graces of the film. She serves as a very intimidating villainess. She can be quite scary, and she does bring a dark tone to the film. And she has a very sympathetic backstory. I feel as if that she gets more depth in this movie than Twilight Sparkle's friends. You can tell that Twilight Sparkle actually wants to help Tempest. And there is a feeling throughout the film that just maybe there's a softer side of Tempest. And I do respect the film for exploring this. Tempest is actually more of a villainess compared to who she's working for, the Storm King, who barely appears in the movie, doesn't really have much of a relationship with the ponies, and mainly just serves as a comic foil towards the end of the film. Sure, he can be very funny, don't get me wrong, but he's supposed to be very threatening and menacing. We're supposed to believe that he's manipulative enough to convince Tempest to help him take over Equestria, but I just don't buy it because he's so silly. He's also not a very interesting character. He's just a flat, generic, cookie-cutter bad guy who wants power. There's nothing really to him. I know I'm going to forget about him. The animation is very different to the TV show. The television series used Flash, and this movie uses Toon Boom. It's very fluid, very expressive, and at times it can be incredibly beautiful. But I do feel as if it could have been better. And when I saw the trailer for this movie, I thought, wow, the animation is going to be staggeringly good. But all it ends up being is better than the TV show. This makes me ask myself the question, if the TV show didn't exist, would I still praise the animation? And kind of, but not as much as knowing that the TV show's animation is a little less impressive. Last of all, this is a musical, which isn't too surprising because the TV show had a lot of songs too. Now, the songs are kind of a mixed bag. For the most part, they do have a high standard. There is a booming orchestra behind these ponies, not just a couple of people on their keyboards. You can tell that a lot of effort has been put into these songs. But while a lot of songs do push the story forward, quite a few feel like fluffy padding to stretch the movie out a bit. And I don't believe that these songs are naturally or organically introduced. They don't come into the movie smoothly. There's not really a sense of build-up. You get the impression that these songs are coming out of nowhere. Although, the best song to me has to be Tempest's villain song. It's been a while since I've heard a villain song this good. It is pretty damn fantastic. It's ominous, atmospheric, but also has some tragic storytelling behind it. I like this song a lot and definitely would say it is one of the finest parts of the film. To conclude, while I feel as if this movie is definitely going to appeal to hardcore My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fans, it fails as a film. It's not a very good movie, and it will alienate those outside the fanbase. This is a film that's not going to have a timeless, accessible appeal. It's unoriginal, generic, rushed, underdeveloped. It's not very good, but the character of Tempest definitely makes it more watchable. I think that she is the strongest aspect of the film. She adds a dark, serious tone to a movie that needs a bit more oomph to it. But when I finished this movie, while I did feel as if that my fandom for the show had been catered to, I also felt like I needed more. My initial reaction as the credits rolled was, that was okay. I did not expect this movie to be anything highbrow. Trust me, my standards are not that extreme. But I did desire something more than what was delivered. And this is not a film that I can put as an example of a good transition of TV to film. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to subscribe to my channel because I make a lot of videos like this one. Also consider supporting me through my Patreon by making a monthly pledge. If I reach my $100 goal, then I'll be able to set up a PO box address and start making videos where I respond to fan mail, letters and packages. Thank you. Cheerio, folks.